What's happening, ladies and gentlemen? I'm on the. Oh, that's weird. Hey, how we doing tonight, guys? Rich,
What's up?
I don't like your background, but I'm glad you're doing okay.
Just a knee injury. I'll be home Thursday or Friday, and just a knee injury. I'll be back to my playing conditions here very shortly.
Did you bring your laptop with you, or are you on you on the phone?
No, I brought my laptop with me. I got, I'm doing work and that kind of stuff from here too. So I'm on my laptop.
My
Nice.
show got canceled last minute. My guest backed out.
Well, Jeremy, we just started. Good timing, buddy. Dylan, how are you?
Good. Hey, by the way, Big Rich, you and
Yes,
David
sir.
Montgomery have something in common now, knee injuries.
Yeah, I
I
can
I do
definitely
have an
tell you.
update from David Montgomery. He has not been added to the IR as per Rappaport post last night because he went
Right.
overseas to seek alternate medication to possibly fix because it's only a partial tear.
I heard he went to the same guy as McCaffrey.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, whatever works.
And that's
If
so
they're
he
going to
can
win the
come back
Super,
by that's so he can be back by playoffs. Because we already clinched our playoff berth. Right now, we're only playing for seeding. And right now, we're technically the number one seed and facing two really bad teams back to back.
yeah, that game against Minnesota is going to be the one that makes the difference. I mean,
Amen.
because if
100%. And just like with
you know,
Philly, it's versus Commanders coming up. That's their biggest test. After that, you got the Cowboys and the Giants. Who, nope, they're not scared of them.
right, right, but if they can, if it comes down to where that Detroit Minnesota game is for the number one seed, you you really need to have as many guns firing as
Here's
possible.
here's the caveat to that. They still have to play Green Bay first.
Minnesota does.
Yes, we already
Yeah,
swept Green
yeah.
Bay. If we do what we should do, because it looks like Chicago's quit on that coaching staff and the team, we should dog walk them in their house.
I'm trying to remember. I was going to say, is that in Green Bay?
Minnesota.
No, Minnesota. Green Bay's playing in Minnesota, so it's indoors. Weather's not a factor.
So that definitely gives Minnesota an edge over if they were playing at Lambeau.
Right.
Um,
But at the same time, I
but
think
yeah,
it actually helped Josh Jacobs not being in the Colts. Congratulations, Jamie. I told you I'd be the first one to say it.
Thank you.
It was a great game, though.
I know this much. I said it last week or a couple weeks ago. I'm going to say it again. Look at the three big gun running backs that changed teams, and every single one of them are the top three guys in rushing right now. And Derrick Henry and Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley. Even though the Steelers kept him under control, still those three guys are
Steelers.
the top three running backs in the league. And because Barkley only had like 68 yards or something like that, which for this year is under control.
I'm curious.
Um,
Who's that guy in fifth in the league right now?
probably one Jamar Gibbs, but he didn't
It is
change
Jameer Gibbs.
teams.
I know. No, I know.
But
I think it's funny that out of everybody else that they said was going to be a better running back than Gibbs that didn't change teams are not.
yeah, I mean, I figured if Gibbs is one of those guys that if he has the ability to work his magic, kind of a Le'Veon Bell type guy. If Le'Veon Bell had the ability to find that hole, he was extremely effective. Jameer Gibbs to me is the same way. If he has that ability to find his gap, he's dangerous. If that
But
offensive
he has
line
way
wasn't as
more
good as it
speed.
is,
He has way more
yeah,
speed than Le'Veon Bell dreamed of being.
The,
Kind of like
right.
a Le'Veon Bell type of vision coupled with like LT's type speed and Elizabeth. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would. I mean, I think that by the time it's all said and done, you're going to be mentioning the name Jameer Gibbs. in that top 4 or 5 running backs in the league for many, many years to come, as long as he stays healthy. I think you're going to have. I mean, Derrick Henry's the oldest of that bunch of those 4 guys that we're talking about. Derrick Henry's the oldest of the bunch. But even at that, if I remember right, he's 30, 31.
30.
So
30.
he could still have 2, 3 more really good years left in him.
At least
I
2.
think McCaffrey. Let's be honest. Christian McCaffrey's rounding third, headed toward home. As often as he's getting hurt, I don't see him having more than a couple more years. I know he's only 28, but
Rounding third, headed towards home and starting his slide. That's where McCaffrey's at.
you might be right. But I think he's probably got 2 more years, maybe 3, and then he's going to be done.
Not with that
Jacobs
acute,
has probably got.
he has that genetic disease though, the acute tendonitis of his Achilles tendon. If that flares up,
Oh.
he's out for multiple weeks every time. That's why I'm saying he might even be in that boat where he might be better off to retire now before he snaps one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I'll tell you what, and I'm glad Jamie and Joe are both here because they've got a guy there in Buffalo that has done a fantastic job of flying under the radar. That, I mean, you start looking at the best running backs in football right now, James Cook has got to be in that top 10. You could legitimately say Buffalo has.
And he's still on a rookie contract, too.
Yeah, so
Buffalo has 2 of the best running backs.
I wanted to say, kudos to James Cook because he's the first running back since Chuba Hubbard and Donta Foreman to run for 100 yards versus the Lions defense in the past 2 seasons.
Well, the thing I look at with Buffalo, I mean, they've got 2 of the top 10 running backs in football. To me, James Cook and Josh Allen, because people can talk Lamar all they want and all that, but if I'm looking at that triple threat quarterback, right this second, I'm putting more weight on Josh Allen than I am Lamar Jackson.
By the way, guys, breaking news literally in the last half hour. The Falcons are going to start Michael Penix Jr., thankfully, this weekend against the New York Giants.
I saw that comment.
Will it help?
They just gave up the division.
Who knows?
They just gave up the division.
Who knows? Because he hasn't played all season. He hasn't practiced with the ones all season. And he's going to make rookie mistakes.
Right.
Yep,
they just gave up the division to Tampa. Tampa locked up the division 30 minutes ago.
No, they didn't. Tampa didn't win anything.
Yes, they did. Atlanta has trust me. Atlanta putting Michael Penix in there has said we're not concerned about winning this division.
Absolutely not.
And there ain't nobody else in that division that's going to catch him.
No, I'm saying the Atlanta Falcons still win that division. Tampa, I mean.
No.
You see Rico Dowdle play?
No way.
See, my question is, and I hope you guys are doing well. Sorry to be a little late here, but good to see you all. Why wasn't Penix in that game in the fourth quarter yesterday? That's what a lot of people are saying.
Great question. But they won.
That's a really good question.
Yeah. I guess maybe if they were losing, it would have made a difference. Right. You're right.
I think if any time there looked like the Raiders were actually going to win that game, you just saw Michael Penix come in. The reason why, and as much as we hate it, if you look, the Raiders and Giants are the 2 worst teams in football right now, and it isn't even close.
The Raiders, the Giants, and who?
No, the Raiders and Giants are the 2
just
worst
the Raiders
teams
and the
in
Giants
football.
are on an island by themselves.
Well, yeah, I guess, yeah. I mean, Dylan, I hate to say this, your Jags ain't too far away.
Hey, at least we have Brian Thomas Jr.
The Raiders have Brock Bowers.
Here we go. Thank you to Brian Thomas Jr., Devontae Adams, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, coupled with Jared Goff at quarterback. In the first week of the playoffs on the good side, in the good bracket, I won by 51 points with those guys combined with a 209
Wow,
final
very nice.
score in fantasy for 1 week. 209. I've
Very
never
good.
hit 200 before.
Yeah, with
I've hit
those kind of
200 several
performances,
times.
it's going to happen.
Yeah. You had a really good week. I made the playoffs in one of my money leagues, and I missed it in the other one by 1 game. So,
Oh, I hate when that happens.
Oh, Rich.
yeah, but I had 1 game this year that out of my 20 guys, 9 were hurt.
Being
up, Dylan?
one game out in a pay to play league, that's like going to your family reunion and get caught kissing your third cousin.
Yeah. What's up, Dylan?
Yeah, Rich. In my guillotine league, I lost by like 0.3 of a point, and in my other league, I missed the playoff spot by like 4 points.
I
You
had a
had
friend
the
of mine
same
show
record.
me.
You just didn't have enough points, right?
Yes.
I won as
Oh.
a 6 seed this week. I won as a 6 seed this week.
Wow.
That's full.
By
If I
one.
could
Your
figure
first
out a way to
cousin
post it,
269,
figure out a-
268.
Did you hear?
if I could figure out a way to post it, I would. Buddy of mine hurt this week. Lost by 0.05.
You know what the bad part is?
First-
Is I didn't have a back defense to put in, and I knew the Bills was going to put up points, and the defense was going to score bad for the Lions. I posted a 209 with a -4 for defense.
I had the Steelers, and I didn't drop them. I just put them on the bench, and I actually picked up Atlanta for the Monday night game against the Raiders.
I had Houston this week in both of my defenses.
I played
awesome,
Arizona.
That's one of my buddies, James Burgess. He said he had a bye, highest scoring team in the league. No noobs. This is our 29th season. So they're doing it back when it was pen and paper.
Wow.
Yep. That's how long I've been doing it. I had some friends of mine from school, and we're talking about doing a new league this year coming up. But we did it there was 8 of us, and we did it. We would sit in the newspaper room at school on Monday morning or Tuesday morning and get all the stats together and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, we did. I was doing fantasy in '88.
That's how I used to do my baseball rotisserie leagues in the early 80s. Get the sporting news and pile the stats there and see who is winning from that. 1982.
You went right off the box scores.
Yep.
And
The
by
box
the way,
score was
Joe,
Okay.
first year I played fantasy baseball, my neighbor and the baseball coach said, Dylan's going to be a pushover. Well, guess who won the first 2 years of that league?
You did?
Yes.
well,
and the best
there's
trade
this-
I ever made, I needed a catcher. This was 2012. I actually made 2 trades that were insane. One was I traded Clayton Kershaw for Cole Hamels and Buster Posey the year he won the MVP. And then I traded Melky Cabrera and 2 other guys for Edwin Encarnacion. And this was just before Melky was suspended for PEDs.
Oh, wow. Trades, I'm not a big trader when it comes to fantasy, but this year I had a guy named Jaden Daniels as my backup quarterback to Joe Burrow. And I wasn't playing him. A guy in my league laughed at me when I drafted Jaden Daniels. And then by week 5, he's like, okay, I know I laughed at you for this guy, but how can I get him from you now? And so it took a few weeks in, and I ended up getting I traded away Jaden Daniels, and I got Garrett Wilson of the Jets and Smith Najigba of Seattle, and that kind of enhanced my offense big time. And I was the number 2 seed in the playoffs. Now we have a 2-week playoff, and even though I had St. Brown, I'm still losing so far. But I still got a chance to win. But it's a 2-week playoff round. It's only 4 of us make the playoffs.
That's ESPN, right, Joe?
Yes, it is. So we got that 4 out of 12 of us make the playoffs. It's a 2-week. And I hate the fact that the Super Bowl is week 17 and 18 because you don't know who's going to be sitting out week 18. But we'll see what happens. I just want to get to the Super Bowl here. I'm losing so far. But still, with that trade, which a guy that I don't normally do trades, I like to avoid them. It help my whole season here.
I'm a listener and an admin to this. There's a thing called Stick to Wrestling podcast, and John McAdam, super good guy. If you're any sort of a historical wrestling guy, John McAdam is really cool to follow. But they started. It was the first year they had done this. Was a baseball league this year, and we had like, I don't know, it was like 40 or 50 guys from the group that decided to go in. So we created it was 4 10-team leagues. And it just so happened somebody dropped out right at the end, and he hit me up. He said, "Do you mind playing in a second league?" I said, "No, that's fine." So I drafted in 2 leagues. Ended up the league that I got just kind of thrown into, I win that league. And I came in second in the one that I was already going to be a part of. And everybody's like, "Okay, you're not allowed to play next year."
Yeah.
Because it wasn't even close when I won that league. But it just so happened, I don't think I had hardly anybody get hurt all year.
Mm-hmm.
For a baseball fantasy league to not have to deal with a bunch of IL is a miracle first,
Right,
and an extreme rarity second. The other league, I just did my thing, and the team that beat me deserved to beat me in the finals because they had guys that were hot at the right time. So
This is the coolest trophy ever.
Is that for being the fantasy league winner?
Yeah, with couch potato, laptop, helmet on.
Oh, that's funny.
I love it.
And this is the league. This is the league I won by 1 point, so I'm still alive. And hopefully, this thing gets to stay here for another year.
Oh, is that last year's trophy?
Yeah. Yeah, I won the opening league of the year of the league, and like I said, hopefully it gets to stay here. I play the number 1 guy this week, and I haven't beat him all year. He's beaten me 2 times, so
wow.
Hopefully, 3rd time's a charm.
It's like the NFL, right? It's so hard to beat a team 3 times in a season. So maybe
he's got Jahmyr Gibbs, so I'm saying fuck him. Sorry, Jerb.
One of the funny things with mine is the guy I didn't draft a quarterback until the 10th round in either one of the leagues that I'm in with this Stick to Wrestling deal, and those are both my money leagues. Didn't draft a quarterback till the 10th round. Baker Mayfield has made both of those teams go.
Yeah.
Both of them I have Baker. One I have Geno as my backup. And the other one I've kind of had a hodgepodge of guys because I got stupid and drafted Will Levis as my backup. We all know how that Mongolian cluster has gone.
Yeah.
Now that you know it's bad when you move Mason Rudolph in as your starter. You know it's bad.
Mason Rudolph should have been a starter. They should have been the starter there all year.
Yeah, he probably should have.
I think I honestly think they'd have been better off if Rudolph would have been there.
I said that from the beginning.
Yeah.
I kept Mason Rudolph on my team. I kept Mason Rudolph on my one league just because I'm not a fan of Will Levis.
You want what's funny is I was in one where it was predominantly Lions guys, and I was able to get Jared Goff in the 12th round.
Jeez.
In a 12-man league.
I had Goff as one of the guys that I was, I was telling you I was floating a bunch of guys as my backup. But really this year, fantasy-wise, as good as Goff has played, he hasn't been a really good fantasy quarterback, but he's been tremendous on the field.
He was last week.
41.06
but overall,
points.
yeah, but over the course of the season.
But
he really hasn't been there.
Yeah.
He's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of the 15 weeks. He's had 6 of them where he scored 30 or more points. On an average, he's averaging about 23 points, which is really what you want out of a quarterback, unless they're an athletic quarterback. If they're an athletic quarterback, you expect an average of 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh Allen has been decent.
I had that guy in Buffalo as one of my QBs.
Yeah. He's helping you out a little bit.
Last 3 weeks have been pretty dang good. As you see, James is telling us.
The other part that's been cool is with Baker either my first or my second round pick in both of those drafts was Mike Evans.
Oh, there you go.
So having that little combination there has definitely helped.
We like stacking.
Yeah, the stack for DFS, right? We do that all the time.
I do that all the time.
It doesn't get much better than when you stack Goff, Gibbs, and Amon-Ra in the same draft, and you didn't have to take them 1, 2, and 3 rounds.
By the way, I've got 2 best ball teams left, and one of them is Golf's Amon-Ra, Stroud, Nico Collins, and then Bo Nix.
Okay.
And the
The
other one
Bo
is
Nix and Cortland Sutton one? Is that what
and
that
then
is?
the other one is a Philly with Hurts, Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown, and the other one Jane Daniels, Terry McLaurin, and I think Malik Neighbors is on that team.
Okay.
I'm glad you said that, Dylan, because I am sitting. Remember I told you I did 1 best ball, right?
Yeah.
And I officially am sitting. I just got to pull it up. In first place right now. Where's my?
Are you in the playoffs then, Rich?
Mm-hmm.
So, do you guys pay attention to FCS at all? Because they're going into
Pay
their
attention to what?
championship. FCS, Division II college football. So it's North Dakota State, South Dakota State versus the Montana State Bobcat. With
The Jackrabbits?
That was North Dakota State, the Jackrabbits, right?
No, South Dakota
Right, that's
State.
one more.
They didn't show the Jackrabbits on the uniform. Yeah, the
What?
Jackrabbits are a blue team. They're not.
I know
South
because
Dakota.
I follow college basketball a lot closer than college football, and
the
South Dakota State, they're always in the tournament.
Jackrabbits are versus North Dakota State, and South Dakota is versus Montana State.
Gotcha.
South Dakota's the Bison.
And driving to the top says, by the way, James is benched too. Yes.
By the way,
that's
James,
you guys.
James, while these guys are talking all this other stuff and looking up other stuff, Green Bay or Indiana defense, you want Green Bay all the rest of the season. You want Green Bay the rest of the way.
If you can get them on waivers, if somebody was stupid enough to put them there, Indiana playing against the Titans, I wouldn't even mind the Titans defense this week.
Well, but what I'm looking at is if you're in the playoffs, though, man, if you can get Green Bay the rest of the way, jump in with both feet.
I'll tell you what, I think I'd take Arizona's defense against Carolina this weekend. Ooh, you.
I think that's a trap game. I think Carolina wins this game.
Well, James, you're not crazy.
James, what other defenses are available?
Both South
what
Dakota
other defenses
are
available, James?
So, Jamie, the Bills have put up 40 burgers the last couple of weeks, but you've given up 42. Can the Bills win a Super Bowl if this defense is turning Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford into Peyton Manning?
No, they're going to have to tighten it up. But to be fair, though, that was expected against Detroit. The Rams, I'm still a little disappointed in, but the Lions, you knew they were going to do that. So
I honestly expected both defenses to play better than that. I actually expected a game 30s because neither one of us really were averaging those type of points. We had outliers where we scored that many points, but the averages for both teams were right around 30 points. That's why I did. And I did say it would be a one-score before I said I want my Lions to win, so I'm going to predict them to win. I said no matter who won, it would be a one-score win.
Yeah, I said 28-24. I was expecting a little bit of a lower scoring game too, compared to what we got. You know, we had a guest on our podcast earlier, and he, made a comment too. The Bills were playing some third stringers on defense. I'm sure the Lions were too. I mean, there were a lot of injuries in that game, and
I mean,
I think both
yes and no.
the defense
The-
efforts could be attributed to the fact that both teams had a
The
bunch of injuries.
Lions have been playing with third stringers throughout the whole year. And Jeremy, you
Yeah, I was gonna
attested
say.
to that on your show.
Right.
Mhm.
We've been, and that's why I said we might be able to pull it out. And I said, plus we got 4 starters back. The thing that I saw more fire out of our defense the week before versus the Packers, the week before that versus Chicago, and the week before that than I saw with those 4 starters back in the lineup this past week. I saw more fire from those defenses. Give me the Legion of Whom. Make AG earn his paycheck and coach these guys to win out the season.
Yeah.
Jeremy, I don't like Dallas's matchup this week. Just to let you know, they're playing.
Who do they
They're
got?
playing the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers.
Oh, they're losing.
Yeah, we give it Tampa.
Or James, I meant James.
Yeah.
He said Dallas. Dallas was his next best option, but that is not the next best option.
No,
Well,
not
no,
playing
and I
the
don't
Bucs.
think as many injuries as Dallas's D has right now. I wouldn't, yeah, okay, they stopped Carolina, but as many injuries as they've got right now, I wouldn't have them out there.
And Trevon Diggs
Um,
just went down for the year too. It looks like.
Yeah.
James
right.
Burgess.
So I mean,
And if that game's in Dallas, I don't know where it is, but they're giving up
It's
like
in
35
Dallas, Sunday Night Football, Joe.
They're
Yeah,
giving
it's
up
in
like
Dallas.
35 points a game at home. So that's another
Yep.
thing to consider.
And they
And Mike-
lost all but one game at home by 20 plus points.
yep. And Mike Evans eats in Arlington.
But
Mike Evans
hey,
goes
James-
bananas when he's in Arlington.
Mhm.
James Burgess, you're absolutely right on what you said there to me about yes, we hate the pack, but when it comes to fantasy, I am heartless and winning is all that matters. I got Jaden Reed as my number 3. He's my number 4 on that roster. In other words, he didn't even get a chance to sniff the field, and I still scored 209 points.
Hey, James, it's not being heartless. It's called not being a homer and playing to win.
No, but
Yeah, I played the win this weekend too because I had this guy named Hertz and AJ Brown.
I
Yeah.
got
I
AJ
was
Brown in
was
another
definitely
one.
cheering for them this weekend.
I'm sorry.
I've had Isaiah Likely on my roster all season. The one thing I would not ever do, and I would never. I had the opportunity so many different times, and I was like, nope, not happening.
I have a
That
hard time.
Brady, that Brady idiot was never having a spot on my roster. Didn't matter. Never 1 second. And I don't draft Cowboys. The only
I don't
time that
draft-
I would draft, the only time I ever carried a Cowboy, and I carried him for that gum. I must have carried him.
Yeah, gum, are you
Three,
Bobby Bowden?
do what now?
You said dad gum. That was Bobby Bowden's.
Yeah.
phrase.
Well, it's a family show tonight. But I kept him for probably 5 seasons because I was just a huge fan with Novacek. And I hated every time that I saw him, catch a pass for me that he had that star on his helmet. But I carried
by
him
the
for like
way-
5 years. But
Sorry, Rich, but James,
good.
I'm
James.
not playing Jerry Judy this weekend with DTR.
Yeah, I am not either with DTR starting. I don't know this combination. DTR's been with the backups. I don't know if Judy's going to be a good catch this weekend.
Yeah, I would steer
Yeah,
away
I mean-
from any Brown offensive players other than maybe if they're running back, but it's not Nick Chubb. So yes, I'm steering away from all of them.
Oh no, I would play Ford, but Bateman is not good. DK's hurt. Judy has got a complete trash quarterback. You got one receiver, man. But if I was going to rank them, I'd probably go Evans, DK, Judy, and Bateman.
But for what he says he has Bateman and DK. He can't bench Judy, but he's got to play Reed So I think it's Evans, Reed, and Bateman is his top three, depending on how you look at it. And DK
Is which Lamar is going to show up this weekend? The one we just saw, or the one that plays the Steelers?
right. Because
Well-
we haven't seen a good Lamar versus the Steelers in what 1 out of 10 games so far.
Something like that.
Yeah,
But then again,
and I
we
mean-
haven't seen. Then again, I think Derrick Henry's been held to what 85 yards in almost every game we played him in.
The Steelers play Henry well. They play Lamar well. The thing that we got to look at in that game on Saturday, and this is just the God's honest truth, the defensive backs have got, I mean, no questions asked, because there's one guy that's
Uh-oh. Hospital internet just froze on him.
some control taken care of by Zay Flowers on that Steelers defense. If they, because he could dominate that game.
I think Bateman could dominate this game.
Um,
I have
one.
more faith. I have more faith in Zay Flowers because Bateman's been more inconsistent than a guy who eats Taco Bell that has IBS.
I'm just saying, I like Bateman this weekend.
I'm not wrong though. Ask Rich. If you look at it, Bateman is like feast, famine for a long time. Feast, famine for a long time. There is no in between.
You're
with
right.
it.
And then again, Mark Andrews has really come out of nowhere. It's like he was trying to break that record, and now he broke it. So now he can just get back to playing football.
well, the Ravens have to play. Maybe the Ravens are saying Mark Andrews for the playoffs, but that's still. Guys, what do you all think about the Ravens, Steelers, Texans, and Chiefs playing Sunday, Saturday, Wednesday? Is that an insane schedule? What?
Well,
We've
the thing
talked
is,
about
is
this.
the,
This
the
is
thing
the
about
3
the
and 10.
Steelers defense that they're hurt with is TJ Watt's out.
Oh, not good.
Watt's not out yet.
They
Wow.
announced it this morning. I saw it had the Pittsburgh Steeler reporter.
I did not see that report.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I don't think Mahomes plays this
he's been
weekend.
declared questionable. He's been declared
They're
questionable.
saying
not out.
he may miss the rest of the season because of his ankle.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. High ankle sprains are nothing to mess with. So I would not be
And that's-
surprised if Mahomes
that's
doesn't play the
also-
regular season.
That's also
Yeah.
what they said.
The Carson Wentz time.
They said
Well-
say he's optimistic and he's walking around, but he can't practice at all.
Okay.
So
What,
but,
Mahomes?
no,
Yeah.
TJ Watt, Mahomes,
Oh,
they're not
TJ.
even letting him walk. They're like, they probably put him in
Yeah.
an air cast that shut up. We're gonna start Carson Wentz this week. If we lose, we lose because we have a 2-game lead for the conference. 'Cause I
Mhm.
thought we knew it.
The thing that they got to look at, though, is if they do lose that game Saturday against Houston, then he's going to have to play against Pittsburgh. Because if they lose both of those games, Buffalo wins both of theirs, Buffalo becomes the 1 seed.
I
Right.
understand that.
So,
But at the same time, you
if
want to know
Mahomes-
what
if
I'm going to say right now, and the people think I'm crazy, despite all the injuries and everything that happened. This loss was probably the best thing that could have happened to this Lions team.
yeah.
And I'm going to tell you why. How many one-loss teams have ever made it to the Super Bowl?
If I remember
One.
correctly, one.
The Bears.
One.
Yeah.
The Bears
The
in
40
85. The 49ers lost the
In
second
85.
game at the end of the season because they rested their starters that year.
Okay.
Right.
They were
Bears was
14
80.
and 2.
Bears were 85,
Yeah, the 84-85 year.
and that was when they just absolutely slapped Tony Eason around like he was, like he stole their candy money.
Like
And-
Tony Eason was a beignet.
Well, but there was also the biggest travesty in the history of the NFL happened in that game.
With Walter
What?
Payton?
You score 40. How do you score 46 points and Walter Payton never gets in the end zone?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because he
'cause
gave
they
it to the
had-
greatest
fridge, baby. And that was Mike Dick is worse. He said that was like the worst move he ever made, and throughout his whole coaching career, was not giving the ball to Peyton to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yep,
At that
because
point
he
in
lost
time,
the
the
team the
great,
following year.
at that point in time, the greatest running back in the history of the game, and you didn't give him the ball. Now, of
Right.
course,
They
he's
probably
dropped down
gave
the
it to the
list a
fridge.
little bit, not far, but a little bit.
They gave it to the fridge, baby.
I don't care.
Yeah, it's still a mistake.
I could
There was
care
a
if it was a
novelty,
one.
but
Hell,
Uh,
McMahon scored one.
yeah.
Do you want to talk college football playoffs first round or do top 10 power rankings next?
If we do college football, we need to make our picks.
Yep.
Yeah.
We are going to make picks.
I don't
Well,
have a
let's-
pen. Anyone got a pen? Anyone
I
got a
almost
pen?
think we should do the top 10 first because we've
Okay,
been
that's
talking
fine.
more NFL. If you think about it,
We can do that.
and then we can switch to college.
We can do
Does
that.
everybody else
Think
agree
of a
with that?
number.
Rich, are you
I'm
going to
good.
write down our college picks?
Yeah, I can do the college stuff.
Okay, because I just don't have a pen, and I
When
don't
we,
know
when
where
we
I
get
want
to
it.
that point, I'll do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Think of it.
But
I'm
yeah,
thinking of a number
power
between
rankings?
1 and 20.
Say what?
I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 20.
For what?
9.
Whoever is closest gets to go first.
Oh,
I chose 9.
3.
2.
8.
4.
Jeremy's closest 13.
All right. My power rankings right now, they're 12-1. I could care less if their offense isn't looking good. Their defense is amazing. You got to put the Chiefs back at 1, Philly at 2. 3,
Jeremy,
I'm putting
Jeremy,
what?
Jeremy, time it. Let's use the same order to do our picks for the college football playoffs. Is that cool?
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay.
Anyways,
Go ahead.
One-
I just wanted to get everything written down. So
1 Chiefs, 2 Bills. 2 Eagles, 3 Bills, 4. As much as I hate to do it, even though Pittsburgh, you got to go Lions and Pittsburgh because they're division winners right now, even though they had losses. I think they're still atop everybody else in the AFC that are division winners right now, and NFC. Do you guys disagree with that at all? So that's my top 5, and then you got to throw the Ravens in there at 6, Minnesota at 7. 8 right now. Seattle lost, so what? Rams are in first now.
Arizona,
yeah,
maybe.
Rams are tied with Seattle 8-6. Arizona's 7-7. San Fran is 6-8.
Right, and I think Rams have tiebreaker right now because aren't they 1-1 with the Seahawks this year?
In overtime.
Yes, sir. Yep, you are correct.
Okay, so Rams are top, so they're going to go there because Seattle just lost. Then you got Green Bay, and then for your 10th seed, you got to throw the Commanders. I think that's where I'm at for my top 10 because I just don't see any of the division winners other than Chiefs and Bills in the AFC that high. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Who's next?
Jamie, go ahead. Rook, we'll just go Jeremy, Jamie, me, Rich, Dylan, Joe. That way it's all in an order, and then that way we don't confuse Rich even with the college football picks. Does that work?
Sound good.
Works for me.
Okay.
And James, Patty, if you guys want to do your power rankings and leave them up there, we'll get them on the screen for you.
Yeah.
And I'll be
Okay,
right back.
so
I'm going to grab a pop.
1 Kansas City, 2 Buffalo, 3 Philly, 4 Detroit, let's see, 5 Minnesota, 6 Green Bay, 'What else do we got? 7. Let me think with 7 here. Tampa. 8 the Rams. Let's see. What do we 9? Let me see. What other teams got? 9 Pittsburgh. And finally at 10. Let's see.
Is this dude just ripping on the fucking Dolphins right now? Irving Fryer?
So again,
10 Chargers.
Wow.
I'm going Eagles 1, Detroit 2. I know, Jeremy, I switched it. I just think this offense is coming together. I like Buffalo at 3. I like where are we going after that? I like Minnesota too. I like Minnesota. They're starting to get a little, even though Sam Darnold almost kicked me out of my fantasy playoffs this weekend. I like Minnesota at 4. Well, I like Green Bay. I'm running the north there, Germ.
I see that.
Just not the way it was last year. Where what am I at? 5, 6.
Yep.
I like the Ravens at 6. Then I guess I have to put Steelers in there, and then Washington at 9, and
What?
I like Tampa. I like Tampa at 10.
Did you forget Kansas City?
Kansas City.
Sure did. He sure did. He
Maybe.
left Kansas City right out of the top 10. That's great.
they're 14.
I did. I left Houston out too.
Wow.
I mean, is Carson Wentz going to get this done? I mean, I guess I'm
Low
forward to the
battery.
next-
Please charge.
Rich.
Okay. Mine's a little different, not to the shock of anybody. 10, I have Denver. 9, Houston. 8, Baltimore. 7, Pittsburgh. 6, Minnesota. 5, Kansas City. 4, Philadelphia. 3, Green Bay.
Wow.
2, Detroit. And 1, Buffalo.
Joe, you can go.
All right. Well, I agree with some of that. I do have the Bills number 1, not being biased, but I think they're
Homer, you Homer Joe.
Yeah, I'm not being biased. Totally objective. I think
Did
Bills-
Haley Steinfeld pay you?
Yeah. I still have the Chiefs at 2 until somebody beats this team in January. They got the best chance too, or I got Eagles 3, Lions 4, and then I got this whole division right here. I got Vikings 5, Packers 6. I like the Steelers 7, Ravens 8. And then I'm going to say Washington 9, Denver 10.
Oh, I've got a way different list than all you guys.
Orlando's back.
I've got a way different list than all you guys. One is Kansas City. I think Patrick Mahomes is playing this Saturday afternoon. And the Chiefs always win. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is. The Chiefs always win. 2, Green Bay. I think the Packers right now are the favorite to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. Jordan Love can play whatever
What?
game you want.
Wait a minute. He's already lost to both teams in the division and got swept by Detroit. They can't win the division. they will be at best a 6 seed.
Doesn't
Right.
matter. It doesn't matter. Green Bay won a Super Bowl as a 6 seed 15 years ago.
They could get to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying
I'm
they
not
will.
saying
I don't
they
think they
can.
will, but they certainly can.
didn't-
3,
Yeah,
Philadelphia. I mean, to be honest with you, I think Philly might have the best roster. I just worry about Nick Sirianni in the playoffs. But 4, I'm going to shock you with my number 4 team. Wait a minute. Didn't the LA Rams just beat the Buffalo Bills a week and a half ago? Rams are number
Oh my
4.
God, please.
I think I'm telling you right now, I think I might not be crazy with my Rams Super Bowl pick before the end of the year. 5, Buffalo. I'm not worried about the offense, but defensively, Buffalo's defense, not good. 6, Baltimore. Wait, Lamar threw the quietest 5-touchdown game I've ever seen a quarterback do. 7, Minnesota. I think Kevin O'Connell is the tall Sean McVay. Sam Darnold's been great. And that Justin Jefferson guy catches touchdowns. Number 8, this not because of record, but Detroit's defense has lost way too many guys. And I honestly think Detroit can only win by outscoring the other team. Number 9, Tampa. I thought, you know what? If I would have been crazy, maybe I would have put Tampa in front of Detroit because the Bucs won in Detroit. So, and then Denver at 10. I think Sean Payton's done the best coaching job of his career with Bo Nix.
Thought we were doing offensive power rankings, not defense.
It was power ranking, period, not offense. It was
Yeah,
just
just
a power
Oh.
rank.
Yeah,
Team
and I mean the main reason I had Green Bay so high is just simply because if you look right now, if you combine offense and defense, as far as saying, okay, all around team, Green Bay is probably the best all around team out of the bunch because there's glaring weaknesses with Buffalo, with Detroit, with Philadelphia, with Baltimore, with Pittsburgh. So Green Bay is really the only one right this second at 8:49 Central Time on December 17th. They really are the only one out of that top tier that doesn't have a glaring weakness on either side of the ball. But that's just me. So, but okay, so I guess it's my turn now. Okay, so we've got 4 games in the first round of this college football playoff. So we'll go in the same order. We'll start with Jeremy. Jeremy, Clemson and Texas.
Clemson and Texas. I'm going to take Texas. I don't think Clemson can beat Texas. I just think they have too much firepower.
Okay, Tennessee, Ohio State.
I don't care if it's in the cold because Tennessee gets just as cold as Ohio. They don't get the snow. I think Tennessee goes in there and smacks them.
Okay, so you got both UTs. SMU and Penn State.
SMU
Noon
does
whiteout.
everything Penn State is bad at. Now it's just a question of whether they can do it in the cold. Close game, SMU wins.
And finally, Indiana, Notre Dame.
I'll never pick Notre Dame in the playoffs in my lifetime.
So that means Indiana.
Yes, sir.
Okie dokie. Jamie, let's do UT Clemson.
Texas.
Okay. And Tennessee, Ohio State.
Ohio State.
SMU, Penn State.
Penn State, close game.
Indiana, Notre Dame.
Notre Dame at home.
Okay. Adam, Texas and Clemson.
You know, I'm always a fan of these 5-12 games. I'm taking Clemson.
What do you think this is? The basketball tournament?
Yeah, that's how he just picked it.
Yeah. Tennessee, Ohio State.
I'm going Buckeyes.
So, does
SMU, Penn State.
I'm going to whiteout to Penn State. Hopefully we get snow and it's a total whiteout. That'd be awesome.
And then Indiana, Notre Dame.
You know, this Notre Dame team has really turned it around since their shitty loss to Southern
Northern
Illinois.
Illinois.
Go down. I'm taking Notre Dame.
Okay. I'm going Texas.
My son has gotten involved in this conversation.
Oh, Josh,
I'm going
there?
Tennessee. I'm going SMU. And man, I want to take Indiana so bad I can taste it because I can't stand Notre Dame. But
never make Notre Dame. They've never done anything in the playoffs since it started. They've been one
Well,
and done.
yeah,
Well, they play Clemson, Alabama, and
I'm gonna take Indiana, but I'm not taking it with much confidence. Joe, Texas, Clemson,
Texas.
Tennessee, Ohio State.
I'm the only one taking this major upset.
Yeah. I like Ohio State.
SMU, Penn State,
Penn State.
and Indiana, Notre Dame.
Yeah. See, the problem is Indiana hasn't played anybody, and they've never been in this spot like this. Notre Dame has. As much as I hate Notre Dame, I'm going with Notre Dame here.
Yeah. And Dylan, you're the cleanup hitter. Texas, Clemson.
Actually, you know what? I'm not going to tell you my picks. I'm going to wait until Thursday. But be honest with you,
No. Make your pick.
Nah, what?
I'm going to wait until Thursday. I'm going to
No,
wait.
you made it a subject for the show. You got to make your pick.
Do I have to make my picks?
Yes.
Yes, it's not rules for thee, but what is this? Rules for me, but rules for thee, but not for me.
thee. Yeah.
Oh, come on. I'm going to do a show on Thursday.
No, you made the rules. You abide by them.
Yep.
Yeah, he's broadcasting from his bed. Big Rich is there in his hospital bed. He took his laptop in so he could do the show.
Rich, fill in our guest while you're in the hospital real quick. And then Dylan, you are making your picks.
Yeah, I sorry guys. I twisted my knee converting from my wheelchair to my scooter and did some heavy duty inflammatory damage to my left knee that caused me to end up in the ER, which caused me to end up here in the hospital. It's all going to be good. Should be home Thursday or Friday at the latest. I have a whole hell of a lot shorter time here than the last time I was here 3 years ago. I think Adam's the only one that knows the story about that one. But spent 36 days here in a coma, 100 days, 36 days in a coma, 100 days in recovery here, then went to a rehab for 100 days and then went home.
Wow.
When I woke up, I was paralyzed from the neck down. So
I have a quick question.
Needless to say,
when we're talking about the NFL, does the strength of the record of opponents mean anything to you on whether a team's tested or not?
In the NFL?
Yep.
Somewhat.
Okay. What if
I appreciate it, Patty. I appreciate it, everybody. Thank you very much.
Yes, get feeling better, Big Rich, 100%. Because,
but yeah, I think it makes some difference, Jeremy.
So, the two toughest records of opponents that they've faced so far has been Green Bay and Detroit in the NFC.
Who's
Do you
that?
know Green Bay and Detroit has had the two of the toughest schedules to face so far through this.
Right.
Green Bay, the
Right.
record of wins and losses because they played Detroit twice. So technically, you could take a 12-2 off there.
Wait, hold on. We are getting Dylan's picks. We're not ignoring the
Yeah.
subject.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Jerem. We're not ignoring the subjects. Dylan, you
Oh.
can still do it on your show on Thursday, but you're gonna
It's
go.
okay because I'm going to really make it interesting now. Go ahead, Dylan.
I'm gonna go in order of when the games are taking place. Give me the Irish on Friday night. I think Notre Dame's better. Frankly, Indiana's a great story, but they've never been in this spot. It's cold. Assuming Love's ready to rumble, and I think he will be. I think Notre Dame will win this game. Comfortably. Who's next? Penn State, SMU. Frankly, I think you guys are nuts for picking SMU. That will be the whiteout of whiteouts on Saturday. I think I know James Frankenseemly is 0 for the moneymaker in big games. I think he gets one this week against a far inferior opponent. Clemson, Texas. Texas disappointed me against Georgia, but back at home. I'm not underestimating Dabble, but I think Texas wins this game. And honestly, this Tennessee-Ohio State game shouldn't be a first-round game, but it is.
So I have some bad news for you. Guess what the weather prediction for Saturday in Penn State is?
Not good.
50 degrees and rain.
50 degrees and rain. It's not
Yep.
going to be a whiteout.
What's it going to be in Columbus?
Probably the same.
50 degrees and rain.
Similar.
Yeah,
Now,
it reached 60 degrees here today almost. So
Can I ask
You
you a
know,
question before
it's
Dylan
gonna
continues? Before Dylan continues, I know. Do you think it's going to be as much of a home field advantage with the fact that students are gone?
Right.
It's mid-semester break, and I know in
Mid-
basketball they talk about this all the time.
Yep.
That
and
home
also-
field is not as much an advantage. Students are going to be gone for the most part.
20% is given to the two schools' media departments and whoever they give for their reporters and everything else to be at the game, correct? 20% media.
I thought it was
40.
20-40-40.
It is. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't get to be the whiteout. The student section doesn't get to take over an entire stadium. 40% gets sold to Penn State students and 40% gets sold to Tennessee students and alumni.
Well, and that is because, and as someone that has done this for 20 years, that is because in the regular season, everything is controlled by the school.
Right.
Once you get to the postseason, even the conference championship games, once you get to the postseason, it's now an NCAA event.
Okay.
It's not
Right.
the individual schools anymore. It's a NCAA event. So that completely screws the pooch on everything. And
Now here's my
that's
question.
why you can't do that.
Here's my
I'll tell you
question.
how,
Could this happen? Could the home stadium control the seats though and put all the home team seats in the bottom bowl and let the visitors sit up top?
No, the NCAA decides all that.
well, no, I mean they could put them all in the lower bowl, but it would be on their side of the field. The other side
Right.
of the field would be controlled by the other.
The
I'll
away
tell you how bad it is because I had this issue come whenever I was doing a Baylor Lady Bears tournament game, home game. When even the PA announcer has to be neutral. Whenever you're doing the starting lineup, normal home game, and now your starting lineup for your Baylor Lady Bears, and the crowd goes nuts and all that kind of stuff. Nope. Starting lineup for the Baylor Bears, at guard, 0, Odyssey Smith, 42, Brittany Griner, that kind of thing. You have to be very down the middle. You have to be very you cannot show any sort of favoritism in your announcing. Now, if you're the home radio broadcast,
That's different.
pitch till you win. But
Same
when
with
you
the
are
away
the PA
radio.
inside the building, Huh?
Same with the away
Yeah, but
radio
if you-
broadcast. Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
But
but-
if you are the PA announcer in the building, you have to play it straight down the middle. And
By the way-
you'll notice that when you see these games.
By the way, Jeremy, I just looked up the forecast for Tennessee, Ohio State. How about a high of like 20 something and low in the teens? With
Okay.
like a wind
I'm
chill
just saying
of 9.
they're only like 6 hours apart. I expected the weather to be about the same.
Me
'Cause I
too.
know up here in Michigan, we're expecting 40 degrees and rain.
I
Well-
don't know what forecast you're looking at because I just looked at it's going to be like in the high teens, low mid 20s, if that.
This weekend?
Yep.
Yeah, that surprises me because even in Buffalo, it's
So
supposed to be
we-
warm.
So let's get back
Pennsylvania's
to this
supposed to be
last
50
one,
degrees
Dylan.
and everything.
Who you
Ohio
taking,
State,
Bill?
Tennessee. Who you got?
Honestly, this might be the toughest game I've picked in many, many years. I mean, I think Ohio State's better than Tennessee, but Ohio State's offensive line scares me. I think this game is very low scoring. Very low scoring. I'm going Rocky Top to win an ugly game and head into Pasadena.
Okay. So now, see, here's the curveball I'm throwing into this thing. All right, guys. We're going to carry this through. So, Jeremy,
Mhm.
since you
Uh-oh, that's not carrying it through.
Right.
No, Rich, you definitely froze, boss.
Dun, dun,
Am I better?
dun.
Now
There
we
you
Yeah,
go.
you're
have
there
it.
now.
okay.
Damn
So
hospital.
we're gonna carry this out. So Texas wins. They play Arizona State. Jeremy, who you got?
Scatterboo.
Oh, we're gonna. Okay. Texas, Arizona State. I think Texas is the better team.
Okay. So Tennessee, you have Tennessee winning, and they play Oregon. Who you got?
Sorry, Tennessee. Oregon wins.
SMU versus Boise State.
Boise wins.
I'm sorry,
Boise.
Boise. And
It doesn't matter
Indiana
who gets
versus
there.
Georgia.
Doesn't matter who gets there. Georgia wins.
Okay. Okay, Jamie, second round. You have Texas going up against Arizona State. Who you got?
You know what? I'm going to shock everybody here. My boy Cam Scatterboo, give me Arizona State.
Okay. Ohio State versus Oregon.
Oregon.
Penn State versus Boise State.
Penn State.
Penn State.
Mhm.
And Notre Dame versus Georgia.
Georgia.
Adam, Clemson versus Arizona State.
I'm taking Arizona State.
Ohio State and Oregon.
I think Ohio State gets revenge.
Ooh, okay. Penn State, Boise State.
I like Penn State.
Notre Dame and Georgia.
I think Georgia wins this one. I think it's gonna be close though.
Okay. I got UT beating Arizona State. I've got Oregon beating Tennessee. I've got SMU beating Boise State. And I've got Georgia beating Indiana. Joe, Texas, and Arizona State.
Texas.
Ohio State, Oregon.
The Ohio State.
Penn State, Boise State.
Penn State.
Notre Dame and Georgia.
Georgia.
Dylan, Texas and Arizona State.
Hook 'em.
UT. Tennessee, Oregon.
Ducks.
Oregon. Penn State, Boise State.
Penn State. Now we get to the
And
fun one.
Notre Dame, Georgia.
Honest, you know what? You know what? There hasn't been enough chaotic. You know what? There needs to be more chaos in the playoff. Irish.
Wow.
Hey,
So-
you already created chaos with the San Francisco 49ers not making the playoffs, and that's coming
Hey.
true.
Hey,
And
I
you
said
were right.
the Niners wouldn't make the playoffs. The Commanders win the NFC East, but that's either near or there.
Yeah.
I know we don't
Told
get
you
to
that
see,
one
we don't get to see. We might not get to see Rich in his Dallas jersey.
Not going to see it. But okay, so now we're down to the final four. All right, so we've got for Jeremy, Texas versus Oregon.
Oregon.
And Penn State, Georgia.
I didn't pick Penn State. I picked Boise. Because I had SMU
Sir?
and I had Boise beating.
I'm sorry.
SMU.
I'm sorry. I can't read my own handwriting. Boise against Georgia.
Okay. Boise does the one thing Georgia struggled with all year, and that's stopping the run. Boise wins.
Okay.
Janiti.
Jamie, Arizona State versus Oregon.
Oregon,
Penn State, Georgia.
Georgia,
Okay. Adam, Arizona State, Ohio State.
Taking Ohio State.
Penn State, Georgia.
Taking Penn State. I just realized I have an all Big Ten final again.
I'm going Oregon over Texas and Georgia over SMU. Joe, Texas, Ohio State.
Ohio State.
ooh,
And
Well, I
Penn
don't feel
State,
bad
Georgia.
now.
Georgia.
Dylan, Texas, Oregon.
Ducks.
Ducks.
Quack quack.
Penn
They
State,
are hard.
Notre Dame.
They are hard to stop. I mean, that team's pretty dominant though.
Yeah. Penn
Irish.
State, Notre Dame.
Irish.
woohoo!
Say again.
Irish.
He's got the
He's
Catholic
taking-
going all the way.
Oh.
My God.
Don't hurt yourself over there.
Watching Indiana beat Notre Dame on Friday, and I'd be like, "What the bleep did I do?"
It may happen because I'll tell you what, that even though they rebounded well after losing to Northern Illinois, you gotta remember Indiana's only loss was against the top 5 ranked team in Ohio State.
I mean, Indiana
Right.
looked awful in that game. They had a punt ball. I mean, they dropped the punt.
I
blocked-
understand that, but how did they respond? How did they respond?
Well, Purdue fired its coach the next week.
Right. How did they respond to that loss against Ohio State is what I asked you.
Jimmy, you and I could have coached Indiana in that game. We knew Indiana was going to beat the poop out of Purdue.
Doesn't matter. That's not what I
Yeah.
asked you. What
They
did they
kicked
do
the
to that team?
tapioca out of Purdue.
They shut them out and scored 66. You're not talking about you're talking about another Big Ten team. Even Big Ten teams are usually pretty decent versus each other. And Purdue looked like they didn't even get off the bus and they put preschoolers out.
Yeah. So what do we got, Dylan? Penn State, Notre Dame.
Wait a minute. I said Oregon, Notre Dame.
No, you have Penn State, Notre Dame.
Oh, Irish. Excuse me, Irish.
Oh, okay, you got the Irish. Okay.
They're gonna go all the way.
All right, so now we got championship. Now we got championship game. Jeremy, Boise State, Oregon.
Oregon wins the national championship.
all West Coast over there. Jamie, Oregon, Georgia.
Kirby Smart versus Dan Lanning in the final. I'm gonna say Oregon squeaks it out over Georgia.
Adam, the Big Ten matchup: Penn State, Ohio State.
Oh, since I'm on the revenge tour, I'm taking Penn State.
Wow.
Sorry to all my Georgia radio folks. Oregon, Georgia. I took Oregon at the start of the year, and I'm taking them now. Joe, Ohio State, Georgia. Do I even need to ask?
I got Georgia.
I figured.
In the beginning of the season, I predicted this final, and I predicted it Ohio State to win, but I'm going to reverse that. I'm going to say Georgia wins it.
Well, beginning of the year, I had Oregon against Ohio State, and the bracket's just not going to fall right. So,
right.
Dylan, you're it. Oregon and Notre Dame.
Quack, 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 quack.
Putting the Ducks up there?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have 4 Oregons, a Penn State, and a Georgia.
I am
And what
awful.
I mean, we'll obviously make picks accordingly, but I just want to see, okay, this is when the tournament starts.
Mhm.
Right.
Let's see how we do up through that. And hey, you never know. One of us might get it. You never know.
Hey Dylan, this might sound like a really weird joke, but what does a duck smoke?
Quack.
Yeah.
Whack. Yep, get it? Whack.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, I'm going to head out before you start another topic here. I'm going to head out, get my beauty sleep here. So always good talking to you guys. Rich, feel better over there. And
Appreciate you.
yeah, no problem. And I
Going out. See you, Joe.
don't know if we'll talk to you before Christmas either. So Merry Christmas to all, and we'll talk to you soon.
To all of you.
Yeah,
Are we doing this next Tuesday on Christmas Eve?
No,
I have no idea. I was just about to ask that quick question. You got family stuff? What are we doing? Do we move it to
Yeah,
Monday?
I'm not
What do we do?
available. I won't be here, but New
I
Year's Eve.
I won't be here either.
Do we move it to Monday?
Yeah.
Let
Have
me
no
know if you
problem
do
with
that, and then I could probably hang out then.
Yeah.
But all right. Anyway, have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon.
Joe, real quick before you get out of here, how people get you?
Joe Dell Sports on Twitter X.
Sounds good, brother.
All right. Talk to y'all
Have a
soon.
good.
All right.
We'll see you next
All right,
Monday.
buddy. See ya.
Okay.
And
And
then
then
we're
there were 5.
The Fab Five.
That was fun.
So
Fab
Oh,
Five.
what I was
I started my. I got my next MVP jersey of the World
Freeman.
Series.
Very nice.
I started a bad collection now of MVPs for World Series.
You know what, Dylan? If Georgia wins the Georgia wins the national championship, at least we'll get to see one of the Kevin Deere twins, who's hug Carson back, because that one of the Kevin Deere sisters is Carson Beck's girlfriend.
interesting.
Interesting. Don't
So-
know that one.
Back to what I was starting there before we had to break down and get Dylan's pick. So the top 4 teams in the NFC, I actually looked at the records of all the opponents faced up to this point. And I'm
Okay.
going to rank them from number 1 to weakest out of those top 4, right?
Right.
At number 1 is Green Bay with a 103-80 against. But like I said, they played Detroit twice, so you could actually remove the 12-2 out of there if you wanted to. Second, same with Detroit, you could remove a 9-4. They're 97-86 again. Third
Okay.
is Philadelphia. The record of wins for their opponents is 81, and the losses is 102. Do you know who's had the weakest road to hoe? It's been Minnesota. The combined record of their opponents is 79-103.
Well, that does make sense for one main reason. They're playing a third place schedule from last year.
but Philadelphia playing
So
second
when you,
place schedule, having an 81
right,
and 102 is shocking.
right, but I mean, you look at what that third place schedule has gotten Minnesota this year, and that gets them a healthy dose of the Giants, the Jets, the the
The,
Colts, the
the
Jags,
Pampers,
the Titans, the Bears, the
yeah,
Falcons. So that has definitely, that third place schedule I think makes a big difference. In comparison to what some of these other teams like, what Detroit had to play this year, like what
Green Bay even.
you know, yeah. So
But Dallas
I
being
think
a
that has a
second
lot.
place team, Philly being a second place team like they are, to have that weak of opponents' records against, I just feel like
Well, but you
they're only 4 good games. They're 2-2 in.
Well, but you got to remember too, when they walked into the year, I'm sure, just like all of us did, expected the AFC North to be a whole hell of a lot better than it is. Cleveland is putrid. Cincinnati is not good. You only have 2 good teams in the division in Baltimore and Pittsburgh. Along with that, they get the Falcons. They got the Saints, who are horrible, who, by the way, they almost lost to. They played the Giants.
And they did
Yeah, I
lose to
mean,
the
even
Falcons.
though they got that, huh?
They lost to the Falcons and the Bucks.
Right, and they almost lost to the Saints.
Right.
So, I mean, when you sit there and you look at what Philly has had to play, I mean, they haven't exactly had the toughest schedule, even for a second place schedule, because the AFC North has had 2 really, I mean, let's be honest, 2 really bad teams.
And we knew they would.
You
I'm
know,
sorry. At least I knew they would. I knew Jacksonville was the fall off team.
well, no, I figured the AFC North, all 4 teams were going to be 8-9 or better. I figured last place in the AFC North would be 8-9 or 9-8. And, I figured that was going to be the best division in football. Obviously, I was wrong. It's, well, NFC North, very possible that they're the best team in the best division in football. You got 2 of the best records, plus you've got Green Bay thrown in there. So, that makes a big difference. Makes a big difference. But when it comes down to playoff time, I think you just throw all that gets thrown off to the side.
Right. I understand that. But I if they weren't playing in the division they're in, that doesn't help them either for being battle tested.
Right.
I mean, because the Commanders are just decent. They're not great. They're just decent. They are a average to good NFL team right now. If you look at it, they have question marks in their secondary. They don't always get the pressure they should produce out of that front 7,
Right.
which makes it a harder job for Jaden Daniels and the team to win games.
Right. And that's why I say I firmly believe that Washington is as good as they've done this year. They're a year or even 2 away from being that team that can contend for a title. What they're doing this year, they're above their skis.
And it helps having
you're
Jaden
right.
Daniels be way better coming out of college than anybody expected him to be.
Yeah, but you know what? I thought Jaden Daniels would be the best quarterback in this draft. When I power ranked him at the beginning, I thought it was going to be Daniels, Nix. I still say, and you're starting to see it in these interviews, I called Caleb Williams, Ryan Leaf. You're seeing that attitude come across on the field and in the locker room, that whole, defeated, I shouldn't be having to put up with this shit, that kind of thing.
I knew he wasn't very good coming out of college.
Even though he didn't say it, we saw it last night. When he laid down on the bench, you know what I said that move was? That was the interpretive dance impression of Anthony Richardson saying I'm tired.
No,
I'm not a Caleb Williams fan. Yins all know this.
no, and well, but
I thought
Jeremy,
I'm with you, Rich. Jaden Daniels, I thought was the best quarterback coming out of this draft.
I said
I firmly believe Anthony Richardson is effort. You know, he had what, 5 consecutive plays he had to run the ball, something like that,
I know,
and it's effort.
I understand that, but what I was saying is, I said Caleb Williams laying down on the bench like he was tired and ready to go to sleep. It was an interpretive dance of what Anthony Richardson said just before he got benched that game. Is what I'm saying. When he came back, he goes, I'm tired. You know, it was poking a fun at Caleb Williams is what I'm doing.
Right.
Not at Anthony Richardson.
Right. And I mean, I just think that something like that, you know, when you're doing that kind of thing, okay, first off, Caleb Williams has accomplished as much in the NFL as the four of us. He has not accomplished a dang thing in the NFL right now.
Oh,
and until and unless he does, he has no right to say anything. It should be yes, coach, no, coach. I don't care what coach is in there. He should be listening to his coaches, listen to these experienced players that he's playing with, like the Keenan Allens and the guys like that, and keeping his pie hole shut. Because how many words have we heard from Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels this year?
Unless
Very
they're
little.
asked a question in a post-game presser, you hear nothing.
Right. You hear very little from those guys. And it's and you can see even though Jaden had that little area there where he had some issues, if you look at those guys from the start of the year to now, I don't know about you, but I have seen some really strong improvements in both of those guys.
100%.
I haven't seen anything out of Caleb Williams. He might be worse.
The only reason he looks good is because the people, they're getting beat so bad that these teams are falling into this stupid prevent defense, and they're just giving him all these yards. That's the only reason he looks decent on paper. It's not because he plays good. It's because he gets what he wants in the second half. No defense.
Yeah.
I mean, Jeremy, we talked about this after the Detroit game. If all them holding calls would have been called, it should have been worse. Detroit should have killed them.
Right.
Jahmyr Gibbs doesn't fumble that ball going into the end zone. It's what, 24-0 at half?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
Right.
I mean,
and even we went to a prevent defense at the end, which is why it was even able to get down there to be in goal range to begin with. And it was kind of a ticky-tack play when they called that pass interference because both players were jockeying for the ball and the ball was thrown 15 yards away from them.
Yeah.
And I think I hate when announcers go, but that is technically pass interference, but the ball wasn't there. The rule of pass interference is it has to be a catchable ball, I thought.
It does.
That rule gets changed every freaking week, it feels like.
I know, and it's so
awful.
stupid.
It's awful.
The one thing that I was thinking about, though, everybody keeps talking about, you've got these these rookie quarterbacks that will be coming in and all that kind of stuff. And we got a bunch of young guys right now and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But let's be perfectly honest here for a second. How many teams going into next season are really looking forward or looking to get a franchise quarterback? I was looking at this earlier this week, okay? Over the weekend. Because if you look, AFC, no. Buffalo, no. Miami, no. The Jets, oh yeah. New England, no, because they've got Drake May. Pittsburgh, I think they re-sign Russ. Baltimore's not looking. Cincy's not looking. Cleveland will be. So now we've got 2.
I think it depends, Rich. I think we could take a quarterback, but I think it all depends if we try and re-sign Najee or not.
I think Najee's gone.
Yeah, they didn't pick up the
I-
5th-year option, and he's had another good year. Well, he'll probably
because
be
you
gone.
know who's
Where's he
gonna
gonna
be
go?
sitting there at.
You're gonna go to
Free
Dallas?
agency.
He go to Dallas. He could go to the Raiders.
If Montgomery doesn't heal right, he could come to Detroit.
Right.
You would love that,
But-
Jeremy. You would love
yes,
that.
I would. Yes,
But
I
think about this for a second. About number 27 or 28, 29, 30, maybe 32. You know who's probably going to be available? Some Janty kid from Boise State.
No
Right.
way.
Ashton Janty, yep.
I
No
think
way.
Ashton
He's
Kutcher
not.
should go in the top
He's
5.
He's not gonna fall that far, Rich. He's going top 10.
I hope he does. But we all know the lack of value for running backs.
Exactly.
If he falls to, if he
prior
All right,
falls to the
since we're
Steelers,
talking Janty, real
but
quick,
but-
what
well,
were your
but I
thoughts
wanna-
on the Heisman? I do want to talk about this.
right
I
guy
think
won.
He got robbed.
No, right guy won.
I disagree. You know what? Travis Hunter was? He was poor man's Charles Woodson. He wasn't great at cornerback. He wasn't a top 10 wide receiver. He didn't deserve it. Their team is not in the playoffs. Their team is not even in a great bowl game situation. So, and you got this
What
guy
did-
who led his team in scoring, had less than 400 carries, and literally carried his team into the NCAA playoffs and a chance to go all the way with a bye. He
What
was more
difference-
important to that team for Boise than what Travis Hunter was for Colorado, and I'll stand on that. And if
Okay.
if Prime was such a good coach, Shiloh Sanders would be a better defensive back instead of missing tackles.
But there's the difference between the Heisman and the NFL MVP. It's not the MVP, it's the
No,
best
both.
player in college.
And the best player in college is Ashton Genty. Period.
No. Is he the MVP? Absolutely. But is he the best player? No.
I think he was.
But it's
Yeah,
the
but
same
Travis-
thing like in the NFL.
Rich is saying it's Travis Hunter because he's a two-way guy. Janty wasn't a two-way player.
I just
I'm
What,
not
now
just
we're
saying
Travis
that for
Hunter
that
was
reason.
What, now we're gonna have to play two-way position
No.
to win the Heisman?
He was a dominant
He's
player
going to play
on both
two-way in the
sides.
NFL. Dion played two-way.
I think that they're going to give him every conceivable opportunity to play both ways. I will not be surprised that he gets a chance to play both ways. In the
He could be the
NFL, I
Shohei
think he's a
Ohtani of
better.
baseball.
I think
Or
he's going to
football,
end
I
up
mean.
being a better receiver than defensive back. I could be wrong, but I think he's going to be a better receiver than defensive back. But I think he's going to be given every possible opportunity to play both.
Can you guys tell me a Steeler that played both ways?
I didn't know the Steelers had any both way players. Just a bad joke there.
I got.
I got it. I was laughing.
Well,
He
no,
is
we
a
had
Hall
a
of-
couple of.
He is a Hall of Famer, though. I was just thinking of one, Rich.
Okay.
Two-way player? What do you think?
Yep, he's a Hall of Famer.
If I remember correctly, the Steelers retired his number.
Lynn Swan?
No.
I don't think his numbers are retired by us.
Ernie Stotner's number's retired.
I was thinking Tony
He played
Dungy.
O-line. Yeah. Yeah, Dungy was
He
too.
played quarterback for 15 minutes one game.
Wait, who
But
was it?
no, Ernie Stotner played O-line and D-line. Tony Dungy played defensive back and he played quarterback for a little bit, but he also played wide receiver in his rookie year.
All right.
But we were talking about those quarterbacks. You go through the AFC East and the AFC North, there's two teams. AFC South, Houston's not looking for anybody. The Colts aren't looking for anybody. Jacksonville is, Tennessee is. So you got four. Chiefs obviously no. Denver no. Chargers no. Raiders yes. That's 5. Philly no.
Jacksonville can't be-
Washington no. Dallas no.
Wait,
Giants yes. So you're
Jacksonville's
Huh?
looking for a QB.
Say again.
Jacksonville's looking for a QB.
Yeah,
Do you
I
have
think
any
they are.
faith? Do you have any faith in Lawrence? I don't.
They do.
That was
They
his
gave him
injury.
50
That was
they
an injury.
They gave him $55 million, so yeah, they do.
Yeah, but he had a bad. He
think-
suffered a really bad concussion against. What was it? What was that game? He had
He
the.
wasn't very good even before the concussion.
But I think we're going to see him put into a package that's going to allow Jackson to move up even further into the draft, and that he's going to get moved to one of the other teams that's looking at a quarterback right now.
Who
But
would you
you
take?
move to the NFC, huh?
Who would you take?
Who, if I'm Jacksonville, who would I draft to him?
Yeah, if they package Lawrence and move up, they say they trade all the way up.
I think Dylan Gabriel could do really good things there if you got him a line, because you've got a receiver to build around in Brian Thomas. I think that Jackson Dart could do well there. I think that if he comes out, Quinn Ewers could probably do decent in Jacksonville. I don't want to see Dylan Gabriel in Jacksonville. I don't. But, there's
That's the
that.
Oregon kid, right? That's the Ducks kid, right?
Yeah, that's the Oregon
My
kid that
question-
I still say is the
is
best
he-
quarterback in football.
Is he tall enough?
Doug Flutie, what?
Oh yeah.
I'm just saying, like, it doesn't look like he's going to be tall enough. I have a feeling this is going to be like a conversation in the combine and everything.
It might be, but I mean, he's 5'11", but he has the arm, he has the mobility, and he is a much more advanced version. Well, yeah, because
Hate when that happens to him. He's got such a good take going.
I think he's a much better version of Kyler Murray.
Okay. I was just curious because I know height's going to become a thing with Gabriel.
Well, yeah.
Every year there's a controversy with someone over something dumb, and height seems to be the thing for quarterbacks in the NFL.
Well, when you're talking about Kyler Murray, who's 5'9", and Bryce Young, who's the size of a Keebler elf, I mean, think about how short Bryce Young was when he came to the podium to be announced in Carolina. They had to get him a step stool to be able to stand up and talk into the microphone. That was the funniest thing I've ever seen. And that was just to talk into the microphone. He was like, "Hi, I'm Bryce Young. I'm here to play for the Panthers."
Wow.
Well, here's all 24. Where's that?
Well, we know Oakland's looking. That's the only team out of
Well,
the
yeah,
AFC
we know.
West.
I mean, there's like 9 teams that are looking for a quarterback.
And unfortunately, because of that contract and how much money they threw at him, they're kind of stuck with Trevor Lawrence this year because it's a fully guaranteed contract. That was what I was getting at. You actually think they're going to move on from Lawrence? I don't think they can, because the dead cap from that is going to be over $150 million for that $50 million contract year one.
It's true.
So you're
I mean,
talking
we all
about
want
taking
them
away. We're talking about them taking out 50% of their salary to move on from this guy. Nobody's going to take that on. Nobody's going to give them that much in cash consideration. Why do they want to give up that much cash consideration and hurt their cap just to get them?
For a quarterback who's proved nothing.
For a quarterback who has the exact same record and team
Daniel
success
Jones.
record as Daniel Jones as a starter.
I wouldn't be surprised if Daniel
I would
Jones
take Daniel
starts somewhere
Jones over
this year.
Trevor Lawrence.
I said the same thing because he's got a 1% better completion percentage. He has almost
He
the
can
exact
scramble.
same amount of touchdowns. And believe it or not, after this past year, he still has less picks.
If I could put Daniel Jones in Jacksonville, I'd do it. If I could put Daniel Jones in Las Vegas,
They had a shot. They could have just
Yeah.
claimed him off the waiver wire. They had
Mhm.
first waiver wire claim at the time and had him sitting on the bench. And as soon as Trevor goes down, they could put him in, and you've got Vanilla Vic with the exact same arm capabilities as Trevor Lawrence there, with a better O-line than what New York has.
Yeah, well, what's Daniel Jones doing now? Sitting on the practice squad in Minnesota?
Yeah.
Right. You know why he's
which
there?
kind of makes you wonder, with the money that Sam Darnold is probably going to demand, especially if he makes a deep run, do you just let Darnold go, have McCarthy as your starter, and let him and Daniel Jones compete for that starting job?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're
100%.
getting Daniel Jones for a bag of balls and a couple of tees.
Is Sam Darnold even going to get signed anywhere?
He'll get signed.
Yeah.
He'll get signed by one of those teams that were bad that need a quarterback between 10 and 18. Because there's
Okay, well,
only
the
three
only time I've
quarterbacks.
heard Sam Darnold do good is when he has number 1 and number 2 wide receivers.
I understand. But a team
And
that's
that's going to be
desperate,
the case.
And
A
I have
team
been a
that-
Jordan Addison fan, even though he went through the portal and left Pitt. I've been a Jordan Addison fan, so
Oh,
I
I get
kind of keep my eye on Minnesota
but
because of
Okay.
that guy.
you know why he left
Can
Pitt, right? I can give you the exact reason. As soon as he found out that bum, Keaton Slovis, transferred to Pitt, he goes, I'm out.
Oh, but here's something to think about too, because I'm really going out on a limb on this one, but I think it's the case. San Francisco, Brock Purdy is going to ask for $60 million, and San Francisco is going to tell him to go climb a tree. I think you could very easily find. Now, he has one more year on his deal, but I could see Purdy getting traded and Darnold ending up back in San Francisco
Because
for
guess what?
half of what Brock's going to want.
KOC is out of the Shanahan tree, and that makes way too much damn sense. So what happens is they move Purdy to get a pick in that middle range to one of those teams that are in that spot where you don't want to take a QB because none of them are worth it. The top three are the top three, and the top three are the ones that are in the Heisman voting, other than Hunter and Najee, right? You're talking about Dylan Gabriel, Cam Ward, and Shedeur Sanders. And out of those three, I would take Cam Ward or Dylan Gabriel 1,000 times over Shedeur Sanders.
Oh, I've been saying that forever. I think Dylan Gabriel is the best quarterback coming out for the NFL coming out in this draft. I think Jackson Dart is right there. I think Cam Ward is right there. I don't like Shedeur in the NFL. I think he's Caleb Williams all over again. I think that Beck from Georgia is what the heck is that dude? Stetson Bennett all over again. I don't think Carson Beck is an NFL quarterback. And I really honestly don't think Quinn Ewers is an NFL quarterback. But if someone's going to prove me wrong out of that bunch, it'll be Quinn Ewers.
But at the same time, I'm going to say the same thing about Quinn Ewers. We've said about every quarterback with a laundry list of injuries that didn't have a year in between them. You know, Bo Nix, while we all complain about, or Michael Penix, while we all complain about him, if you look, he had a redshirted freshman year where he got hurt in the preseason, wasn't even going to play that year anyway, so that didn't matter. He comes in, plays a good year, gets injured and transfers. And that was the last year you had to sit out a year before you could play anyways. So that year was a wash, which gives him the 3 years of eligibility still. Then it's COVID.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Plays a year after that, transfers out again. Gets hurt. Plays another year after that for another team. And every year he got better. It's kind of like Bo Nix. And I said these two, because of that, because they played for different schools every year they were in. That means they had a new head coach or a new offensive coordinator every year. And we know that was the case in Auburn because Auburn went through a revolving door with Bo Nix, right?
Yeah.
It was offensive coordinator, head coach and offensive coordinator, I think in his 3 years there. Wasn't that what it was?
I think Sean Payton might have been in the best spot for Bo Nix to land.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, there's no question. Bo
But
Nix is a Drew Brees starter kit.
And most people would take that any day of the week.
All day long.
Which
If
Rich
if he
right
has half
now,
a career,
I don't know if you look that far into it, but if the playoffs started right now this week, we would be playing Denver.
uh-huh.
But
I
you'd
can
be
tell
at
you
home.
this much. We would be. But I can tell you this much. If he has half the career that Drew Brees had, he's going to have a really good career. I mean, that and the surroundings that he was put in Denver is great. He has a solid receiver in Cortland Sutton.
Sutton. And he has a
He's
pretty
got
good
an
tight
up
end
and
too.
coming.
He's got a
He
pretty good
does.
tight
He's
end,
got
Adam Troutman.
He does. He's got a up and coming receiver in Vele. He's got, a running game. He's got, so it's not all on his shoulders. He doesn't have to carry the whole thing. And he's got a coach that knows how to work with a guy of his style. And we've talked about this. I've talked about this several times on this particular program. That's where a lot of the problems come in is when you draft a QB that has no clue how to be successful in your system. You got to draft a QB that matches your system. If Shedeur Sanders goes someplace other than the kind of offensive system that Dion has in place, he is going to look like any of the four of us playing quarterback, and he's going to be deer in headlights, and everybody's going to be, oh my goodness, he's and the worst, well, it's going to come. Well, he's just not getting the right opportunities. You're not putting the right guys around him. No, he should have been the piece to fill the puzzle, not the corner piece to start the puzzle with.
So it's funny because I do a show with all 4 other teams of the NFC North, sometimes at 11 a.m. And just prior to the season, they asked me what I thought the window of wins for each team would be. And I'm going to be dead honest. I said, at worst, Detroit will be an 11-win team to a 14-win team. And so far, they're still capable of doing that 100%, are they not?
Very.
Because they already got the 12. So 14's not out of the question.
No, not at all.
So I think this is kind of crazy.
So when I went to the Vikings, because they asked me about that, I said, this is the one where there's the biggest question mark at QB because you don't know what Sam Darnold you're going to get. Are you going to get a consistent Sam Darnold that looks like his better games? Or are you going to get the guy who sees ghosts? And the only reason Minnesota hired him is because he named his ghosts Justin and Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, and then you got Green Bay. Jordan Love had a very up and down year. And if you look, he's having the exact same year this year. Started out rough, won a couple games, got by a couple bad teams while he was hurt because his backup won those games. And now he's coming into the second half of the year and looking better. He did the same thing as rookie, his first year starting, right?
Right.
And I said, now the Bears, I said, as great as all the weapons, as great as that defense was last year, the problem is their O-line. It starts the O-line, and you're going to take a guy number 1 overall now that you traded away Fields. So this is all before the draft, right? This is just all conjecture. I said, there's a 100% chance that your window of wins will be 4-8 wins this season. I don't see you worse than you were. but I don't see you better than you were.
Yeah. The Bears, I've got one of my best friends from college is a diehard Bears fan, has been a diehard fan as long as I've known him. And when they made the pick, he called me up. He said, "Okay, what do you think?" I said, "Hate the pick. Sorry. Jay, if you're listening, you know I did it. I said, I hate the pick. So I wish you'd have taken Jaden Daniels out of LSU. If you were going to take a QB at 1, what I honestly would have tried to do is trade down, get a team to give you some offensive line and whatever their pick was going to be, because you could have gotten Daniels at 2, 3, or 4. Well, they would have had to give him at 2. But be that as it is, I didn't like the pick from the jump for Chicago. I don't. It's one of those things that you're going to continue that trend in Chicago of meh quarterbacks.
I think Jaden Daniels might have went number 1 if Chicago traded that away still.
Well, yeah, I mean, if that was,
I just do. I don't know why. I still don't understand why so many people praise this guy. I just don't.
Right. I mean, let's just for argument's sake, and Jeremy, I know this wouldn't have happened, but let's just for argument's sake say they would have worked the deal with Detroit for Penei Sewell. Okay.
Oh,
Well, yeah, Detroit would have drafted Daniels. If they Penei Sewell for the number 1 pick would be a fair deal. But if they would have made that deal, you could bet Detroit was taking Jaden Daniels.
I don't, because they love Goff and they just re-signed him.
Right, but that's why I say it's 100.
I
was just using that as the example.
I know you're using that as the example, but you know what we'd have done? Because Brad Holmes loves the trenches. If he's going to trade,
he'd have drafted another lineman.
He'd have drafted Joe Alt. 100%.
Yeah,
not a bad pick.
No, it's a fantastic pick. But if they could
Best
have gotten
in the draft.
another, okay, I'll even give you a really solid example. If the Giants would have traded Andrew Thomas to Chicago for that pick, then the Bears would have gotten Andrew Thomas and Jaden Daniels.
Oh, how much better would they be right now?
They wouldn't have had Malik Neighbors, though, right?
No, they'd have still had their pick, is what he's saying.
No, but they'd had Keenan Allen and they would have had Roma Duze.
No, you're talking about, would he have given up that first pick to get Malik Neighbors for the Giants?
Yeah, did you have them trading that pick, Rich, or keeping it?
Yes.
The number 5 pick.
Yeah, they would have traded that pick to Chicago for Andrew Thomas. And Andrew Thomas for the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, I don't know if they did that.
So it would have cost the Giants that first round pick, which was what, 5, 6, something like that.
6.
And Andrew Thomas to get the number 1 overall pick, which, and you would have seen Chicago get a Jaden Daniels or a Bo Nix, and completely different situation.
I actually think they
Completely
probably would have picked Michael Penix. They probably, if they're picking at 6, they'd have taken Michael Penix. Because Joe Alt still goes 5. Joe Alt still goes 5, and the best quarterback on the board is either Penix or JJ. And I never thought JJ belonged in the first round. As a Michigan fan, there's a reason why Michigan hid him.
And see, I would have taken Nix before Penix or McCarthy. I had him higher on my board than either one of those guys.
And
I think I had McCarthy like 7 on my list.
I had him 11th on my quarterback list.
I don't know.
And I'm a Michigan fan.
I had him.
Oh, I did. Because everybody says, but we only lost 3 games while he was a starter. I said, don't put team success into QB stats. Go look at his stats. He had that nice streak versus the cupcake teams where he was leading the NCAA in completion percentage. And what happened as soon as we faced a good defense? They dropped to 56% overall. That's how bad he was through the first 3 weeks versus Big Ten competition. It went from 78 to 56 overall in 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I love JJ.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. He did a lot of great things at Michigan. He handed the ball off really well to Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. That's what he did best.
Well, and there's a lot of quarterbacks, and we all know this. There's a lot of quarterbacks out there that are fantastic college quarterbacks. They're just not made for the pros. To me, the greatest college quarterback in history wasn't made for the pros. And I'll stand by that Tim Tebow is the greatest quarterback in college football history as a college football quarterback. He just was not built to be a pro quarterback.
And if he'd have did it earlier, he probably would have made a great tight end.
Yeah. Or a big receiver.
Right.
You know, because you could have seen him with that body, you know, in that same body set as a Mike Williams or a Calvin Johnson, or I'm not saying talent wise, but body size. You know, a Calvin Johnson,
It would be a combination between Calvin Johnson and Kellen Winslow. Kellen Winslow Sr.'s body size.
yeah.
That's the best analogy. It's a combination of two. He has that stockiness of like Kellen Winslow Sr., but the height and the wingspan of Calvin Johnson.
Mm-hmm. And had the speed.
Right.
Because
Same
he
speed.
ran what, 4.5?
He ran a 4.5. Calvin Johnson ran a 4.39. So there's a little difference there, but 1/10 of a second. It isn't as much as everybody thinks it is. In a 100-yard race, you gain 4 yards on somebody.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about it too is, and like I say, I am not in any way, shape, or form saying that Tebow would have been Megatron. Megatron is, in my opinion, the third greatest receiver to ever walk.
If not the second.
So, huh?
If not the second.
I've got him third.
No,
Larry
I'm just saying.
Fitzgerald to me is second.
I understand.
We both
must
agree,
be-
I'm sure, who number one is.
Jerry Rice.
Number 80, that guy.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of those, there's no debate on it.
Right.
I will fight anybody that wants to debate that one. But, you know, to me, it's
Who's number
Jerry,
2, Rip?
it's Fitz, it's Megatron.
He's got Larry Fitzgerald ahead of Megatron. I disagree with that one. I don't even think Fitzgerald belongs in the top 5.
Oh, no.
That's
The
my
only
opinion,
thing to me, the one of the things that hurts Calvin Johnson to me, and I've got to double check and make sure I've got my number exactly right, but he only played 3, 6, 9 years. That hurts a little bit. Excuse me, with having him ahead of Fitz. But now, was Megatron one of? I mean, he was in the conversation for best receiver in football from his 4th year on. Actually, from his 2nd year on.
When you said 3, I was like, okay, let's see who he puts it to. And when you put Larry Fitzgerald ahead of Megatron and Randy Moss, lost validity to me.
Well, see, Moss is 4.
To me,
Moss to me is 4.
If you're gonna put Megatron 3, it's Moss at 2, Megatron at 3.
Yeah, see, I've got, you know, I go Rice, I go Fitz, I go Megatron, I go Moss, and then 5 is a little bit of fluidity because you could put T.O. in there. You could, I wouldn't, but you could put a guy like a Marvin Harrison in there. I know people that do, and I just kind of look at them crossways. You could put a Chris Carter in there. You could, there's other guys you could put in there. For me, that's where I sit. To is 5.
Good debate.
We could set this up for next Tuesday or next Monday.
Say again.
We could do this for next Monday. All the top five wide receivers.
But breaking the record for receiving yards in one season, that's why I have Calvin Johnson ahead of Fitzgerald all day, every day.
Oh, and that's the cool part about when you get into those rankings. There are viable arguments on those sides. There is no argument for number 1. Everybody else is playing for second.
I'm gonna head out here in a little bit, guys.
All right.
How people get you, Jam?
Okay, so you guys can follow me, yours truly, on Bill's Chat 1 at Bill's Mafia Chat, and also at Jamie Malloy, the unbiased journalist, at DJ Dog Tags on X. You can also follow me on forkball.com, theforkball.com, where I write about stories for all sports. You guys can also follow me on Driving to the Top Productions. I do a podcast or Joe Dalio and I, we do a Bills podcast every Tuesday, and we're going to be taking Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve off, and we'll be starting our next Bills show on January 7th in 2025. And then you can also follow me as a guest on Jeremy's podcast. Sometimes on his show. I was recently on his show last Friday. We had a great time talking about the Bills versus the Lions. So for more information on Driving to the Top Productions, whether it's for more content, whether it's open mic or any of our podcasting shows, please follow our Twitch stream, our app, our Facebook stream, YouTube page, X stream, wherever you consume your podcasts. And always don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Driving to the Top Productions, because we're always looking to get better. And as always, we're driving to the top. Thanks for listening, guys.
Merry Christmas, Jam.
Yep.
Merry Christmas, man.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. And then there were 3.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm probably gonna have to pack it in here shortly.
Yeah,
I was going to say Rich M. Nurses. Rich M. Nurses probably want you off of there. I'm surprised they haven't even
funny
come
how-
in, done blood work or anything.
Well, they'll probably be coming in here in the next. They did stuff right a little bit before we came on.
Did you tell
I'm
them you were
probably
doing
gonna
a
have
show?
folks coming in here shortly. I
Did you
told
tell
my
them you were-
nurse that.
I'm surprised she didn't come in and do a guest appearance.
Yeah.
So
But
with
she,
the second loss of the season, I do have an interesting stat for you. You know, the only team since that last loss to Miami, where like Detroit was going to win and they gave up the loss in 2022 for the Lions. You know who the only team in the NFL has a better regular season record at this point?
There's 3 at 12-2 in your division. I mean, you're
No. Since 2022, in week 8, or that after our bye week, because we were 1-6, right? 7 games played. Since that time, there's only one other team in the NFL cumulatively that has a better record than the Detroit Lions in the regular season. Do you know who it is?
Regular season since. It's not Philly because they had a flapjack last year at the back of the year. Pittsburgh?
No.
I'm gonna say it's the Bills.
Nope. There's only one team with a better record than us in that time, and it's the Kansas City Chiefs at 33-8 versus the 32-9 Detroit Lions in that time.
Huh? My son, Chief.
Yeah, he called it as I was saying it, so, and I know that there's a 1-minute delay to YouTube, so he knew.
The one thing that I'm looking at as we get into the playoffs. I mean, is there going to be a surprise at some point that somebody that's high ranking gets knocked off? Yes. But my question is, are we going to see a 1-1, 1-2, 2-2 seeding in the Super Bowl? Or are we going to see and I'll just throw them out there, Steelers who may be a 3 or a 4 seed slide in there or something like
Rich,
that?
you realize we could drop to a 6 seed, right?
Yeah, but we
At
could
best.
also we could also stay at 3. Right. Hold on a second, guys. Nurse just walked in with my meds, so.
Gotcha.
But
Well, we were on the right track.
So
you were.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but with Deontay getting hurt over the weekend, or Jackson, I mean, we'll talk about. Are we doing a show tomorrow night, or what are we doing, Rich? What are we talking?
We can. I mean, I was going to ask you.
Deontay
I was
who?
figuring we were doing one tomorrow, but is that going to be our last one for the year then?
I don't know
I
yet.
gather we're not going to do Christmas Day.
Probably not. Well, I mean, we're doing Monday night open mic, right? We just talked
Yeah.
about this.
No, yeah, but I'm saying our Steelers show. Christmas Day and New Year's Day. Are we looking at doing a show New Year's night?
Maybe. I don't know. That would be our first show of the year, January 1st.
No.
I don't know. We'll text about it. How about we get you
we can
home?
figure it out.
How about we get you home and get you healthy? Then we'll figure out our shows.
Well, I mean, honestly, I'm figuring, from everything that we've been talking about up here and that kind of stuff, Thursday, Friday at the latest, I'll be home. So,
So Rich, just to let you know, Josh has been commenting, and he's the F1 guy. So, I don't know how we're gonna get you two in touch for talk racing.
yeah, because F1 is completely different from NASCAR, man. I
don't know
would love if he was more of a NASCAR guy, I would love to do something with him. I know next to nothing about F1. I know enough I could probably skate by, but it
Rich, you
wouldn't
know more.
sound good.
Rich, you know more than you know.
So other than the doom and gloom about injuries, we do have some good news because in that game versus the Bills, we saw Dan Skipper receive a touchdown for the first time in the 54 games he's played in his career. And then he turned around to go home and have his wife go into labor and give birth to their baby girl. So congratulations to him. I know a little about that.
Should have been it should have been his second touchdown of his career, because if they wouldn't have completely made a
Hospital internet, kids. Hospital internet.
what wasn't Skipper the guy in Dallas last year that had the pass thrown to him?
It was
No idea.
Taylor Decker that had the pass to him, and Skipper
Oh,
lined
okay, I
up
thought
at
it was
tackle.
Skipper.
Nope, Skipper lined up at tackle, and they called it an illegal formation because
Yeah.
Decker never reported when Dan Skipper was 20 yards away while Decker reported to the ref.
Yeah.
That was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. Oh, wait, it
Oh, I
happened
was
in
hot when
Dallas,
that
didn't it? It did happen in Dallas.
It did.
Right?
It did. And I was hot. Oh, was I hot. So, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and head out, guys. We've done a couple
All right.
hours, so
Yeah,
Rich,
I
try and
think it's
log.
about that time.
Try and get on the StreamYard behind the scenes and get your Facebook log back in. I don't know why it didn't work.
yeah, I don't know, but I'll do whatever I need to do with it. So,
All right.
but appreciate it,
We'll
guys.
talk. I'll see you tomorrow night.
All right, man. Jeremy, whenever you want to get together, man, let's do it.
Yeah, I'd love to just sit and talk ball with you one night. Just sit and talk ball. So let's
Sounds
come up
good.
with a night together and Either you invite me or I'll invite you. It doesn't matter either way.
Let's do it. Sounds like a plan, man.
All right. Well, thank you
All right,
everybody
Rich.
for watching. You can find me on my channel at Kneecap Biting with the Motor City Lions, where I go live damn near every day of the week. And when I'm not live on my show, I actually share it to my channel anyways, which, it helps drive traffic to YouTube.
Right. I love that StreamYard lets us do this.
hmm All of them do, but some of the other ones, you got to jump through a few more hoops to make it right. You got to create your free account, add your destination, and then it'll let you. But at the same time, you still have to go back. Like if you're trying to get it to go to Facebook, you have to accept the Restream app to be able to do it, because that's what I use is Restream. It's very similar to StreamYard. The difference is I got a chat overlay, so I don't have to pull the comments up on the screen. They just scroll as we're going, so I can actually go full screen.
That's kind of nice.
I love it. I'm not gonna lie. If I'm just gonna sit here and talk ball and read comments, I love that.
Right. I love it. I like this jersey up here too.
Who's that? Is that a Schmidt?
Mike Schmidt.
I just guessed. I saw 1-3. I couldn't tell if it was 33 or not.
It's 20.
Still can't even read it from here. Looked like a 3 to me. Oh, yeah, funny. There it is.
Philly. That's the
I love
Philly
Mike.
you were reading.
Yeah, it's Philly. I remember growing up 100%.
Yeah, I was at his 500th home run game. He broke that record in Pittsburgh. He hit 500 in Pittsburgh.
It just hit the floor.
I saw it.
I didn't know if you seen it or not. That's why I said something. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, I was a row behind the ball.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was also only 8 years old, so I had no clue like the emergency of getting that ball.
But I am actually getting tired myself, so I think I'm gonna hop out of here.
All right, buddy. Nice
But
talking to you, Germ.
You can find me on Twitter at Smoking Jeremy B. You can find me on Instagram at Smoking Jeremy B1 because the first one got hacked.
Yeah, we didn't get your heckler tonight.
Yeah, I noticed that. It's because every time they come on, I started blocking them on YouTube. No, I didn't even mute. I just block them on YouTube.
Yeah, all right, guys. So like Jamie said, guys, find us on Driving to the Top Productions. Hit that like, subscribe button, and he always says turn on the bell for notifications. You can get me at Sports Talking It on Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it this week. You can also get me on my Facebook page under Adam McNally Sports Talking It. And I thank everyone for tuning in, and everybody have a good night.
Hit that like button on the way out, people. It helps every algorithm on social media.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Merry Christmas if you don't tune back in too.